Mr. Piramal began his professional journey at age 22 in the struggling family business of textiles after completing his master's in business administration from the Jamnalal Bajaj Institute. The flagship Moraji Mills was actually listed on the stock exchange, if I understand correctly, for more than about 100 years ago. That's how old the business was. Sensing labor unrest at the time and a bleak future, he chose to exit this business. Enduring a family transition on the passing of his father and taking a few knocks along the way, he found value in the pharmaceutical business of Nicholas Labs way back in 1988, when most multinationals were opting to leave the country. He bought that company for 16 crores. In his autobiography, The Light Has Come to Me, he writes, "I have only a dream, an impossible dream of taking this company to become one of the top 5 companies in India." This goal was achieved in 1998, something the exiting CEO had laughed at. More than 2 decades after he had dared to dream, Mr. Piramal hit pay dirt, selling his pharma business to Abbott Labs for upwards of 17,000 crores. Not to be distracted by this largesse, he then encashed a strategic investment in Vodafone and further proceeded to enter the financial services business by taking a stake in the fundamentally strong Shriram Finance. His logic: the financial sector will expand at least 1.5 times the pace of overall economic growth. Having gained the reputation of an M&A artist, he says his successful and contrarian business strategy stems from the ancient Hindu spiritual text, the Bhagavad Gita, of which he is a keen student. So is this colossal monetary gain the only measure of success for Mr. Piramal? What drives him to get out of bed each morning? How about we hear it from him himself? Mr. Piramal, please do come and join us. Thank you.
Good afternoon. It's always a challenge to speak first thing after lunch, so I'm glad Swamiji's at least had some activity. Because I remember my college days, and after lunch, it was difficult to keep your eyes open. So here I am today, and the only reason why I am speaking on this subject is because of Swamiji here, because for the last 15 odd years, almost every week, he has been trying to teach us the Gita and the other scriptures that we have, and we try and practice some of it. So I hesitate to speak in front of you, Swamiji. If there are some mistakes, please overlook them. And I'm going to begin by telling you a story, because I thought that's the only way probably people would be interested after lunch. I want to talk to you about Gandhiji before he was known as a Mahatma. Here he was, a young lawyer practicing in South Africa. He was not an exceptionally brilliant lawyer. In fact, some say that his practice didn't really take off that well for a long time. He was struggling. But he made one principle. He said that he told all his clients that I will not defend you if I find that you have committed some wrong. Or if you come and lie to me, don't tell the truth either to me or even in the witness box, I will not take your brief. Nobody believed it, because we know how lawyers are. I'm not taking any offense to anybody here. So nobody believed him. And so here was this case when in a particular matter that he was defending, his client came up onto the box and said, when the other side's lawyer was questioning him, he said something which was incorrect, and Gandhiji knew about it. So immediately he stood up and told the judge that my client is not telling the truth, and I'm giving up this. I'm not going to speak. I'm not going to defend him. So it was a big hushed sort of silence. Everybody realized that there's something, this has never happened before. And all the other lawyers, everybody else said that Gandhiji cannot ever succeed as a lawyer. What actually happened after that? Did his practice come to an end? Actually, just the reverse happened. Because soon he got the reputation, even amongst the law officers, even about all the judges, that if Gandhi took up a matter, it would necessarily be right. And therefore, even before he stood up, very often there was a bias in his favor. And actually, his practice grew. So I think the lesson that one can learn is that integrity actually has significant value in it. And is this only what is told in the scriptures? Is it something which only a great man like a Gandhi did? That's also not true. Actually, when Gandhi practiced it, he was not a great man. He was like any one of us. It was because he inculcated such values that he became a Mahatma or a great man. Let me give some examples of this, or one example in my own experience. In the introduction, you spoke about that we entered the pharmaceutical industry. At that time, this was a multinational called Nicholas Laboratories, a British multinational. And we made two important commitments when we acquired these shares with the multinational. Because these brands that we acquired were only for India, but they were also globally sold. The same products were available globally. So the commitments we made were that we will keep the quality standards like international standards. And secondly, we will not export these brands because the cost in India was much lower. And if you would export them, then the whole worldwide market would come down. These were commitments made, and there was a cost to it. If you have to have really world-class quality, you have to spend in creating that system. If you don't export, you lose a big market. And frankly, after a few years, if you would have done it also, we could have done it in another way, second way, third way. Nobody would have realized. Most people actually criticized us that why we are not exporting. But we believe that integrity was an important value. What is integrity? The definition of integrity is really that there is a complete alignment between what you think, what you say, and what you do. So if we have that alignment, so because we had written something, we followed that we had to do it in letter and spirit. And therefore we didn't export, we kept world-class quality. And what was the impact of that? The benefit actually of that was that subsequently every pharmaceutical multinational that exited out of India, and there were many of them, they would come to us first that why don't you acquire us? And not only were they willing to actually sell their business to us at values which were lower than what anybody else was willing to offer. So because of that, we acquired Roche, we acquired Boehringer, we acquired Herx, Ron Polanc, ICI, so many such companies. And you spoke about that growth from to the leadership position. That's why we grew from rank 48th in the industry in 1988 to become the third largest in 2010. So integrity, not only, and we didn't realize it at that time, but it really created, I would say, huge economic value for us. So that is the value of some of what our scriptures teach us. Many people say that yes, we want to learn the Gita, we want to understand it, but we are too young for it. we should have it, after 60 or after 50, whatever the age is. Whatever your age is, just add 20 years, and after that I should do it, because this is not the time. This is the time for me to enjoy and all that. Then it's worth just realizing the context in which the Gita has been set. The Gita is told to a young fellow. Arjun must be what, 30? Less than 30? Maybe, but still young. Younger than I am. That for sure he was when the Lord actually gave it to him. It was on the battlefield. So it was not that he was in a forest, that he was learning somewhere, in this forest, and you have in isolation. In the midst, nothing can be of more intense activity than a battlefield. And this was a real battle on both sides lined up, and that's when the Gita was taught. So I think the only lesson that I pick up from this is, first of all of us are like Arjun. So therefore, and all of us, at whatever stage we are, in our most intense time of activity, however great we may be, because Arjun was the best archer in the world, the best warrior in the world, all of us need it. And we really need it at the most important times of our life. That's what the Gita teaches. And even if we think that we are very, very accomplished, just like how Arjun felt totally helpless, we all go through that in our life. And that's the time when you can get a solution. So let me talk of another very famous shlok of the Gita, which is that you have to do your action and leave the results. Don't bother about results. So in the second chapter on the 47th shlok, the Lord tells you about that. So what does that mean? The Lord says that you focus on action. And it is, don't worry about results, because results is only action in another form. If we have good action, or we determined action, and if we do it right, the result follows. Many times people have said, this is not, this is all right for the Gita, but if you don't focus on results, you're going to be not ambitious, you're going to become lazy, you're not going to worry about what is the outcome, and that is the reason why you don't succeed, and so on and so forth. But actually, I think for those of us who think like that, I think it's a mistake. And what the Gita says is really true. I'll give you a personal example again. In the introduction, it was said that we sold part of our pharmaceutical business for a significant value in 2010. So once that process began and we had agreed upon the value, there was a process where you had to do all the legal documentation, the diligence and all that. And the other side, the lawyers of Abbott and the other sides, constantly there was a pressure on us and our team to rattle us, to say that if you don't do this, the deal can't happen, and you'll lose out on such a big amount, and so on and so forth. And this went on. But one thing we knew, and I think this is absolutely important, the only thing that gave us strength was this verse of the Gita, which says that focus on what has to be done. Do what is right. Do the action, and the results will follow. I remember till the last minute when we were to sign and get our check, and that was a large check, some new issue would be brought up, so that we would have yielded. If we would have concentrated only on the results, I think we would have given in more. It was because we said, no, we are doing what is right, and that is the right process, is what we realized was the highest valuation in the world for any pharmaceutical business. So it is because of this implementation. And when people say that, The Gita or our scriptures make us really weak, make us lazy, make us think, okay, wo to destiny mein hai. That's not true. I'm going to quote from one of the favorite lines of favorite verses that we use in our group very often, which is from the Upanishad, but it's all the same. So it talks about how you can shape your own destiny. So the verse says, you are what your deep driving desire is. As is your desire, so is your will. As is your will, so is your deed. And as is your deed, that is your destiny. So in other words, we can shape our destiny. The destiny is not written in the palm of our hands. The destiny is in our palm to create what we want. That is what our scriptures say. And that is what I really believe is true. I'll give you the example of the great Panini. Panini, when he was a young boy, went to an astrologer and he showed his palm to the astrologer. The astrologer said that, saw the palm, saw the lines, you don't have any line for education. And, better you do something else, you're not cut out for that. And, it's not been willed or your past action, whatever it is. So Panini just took a knife, made a line like this, and went to the astrologer and said, now do I have a line? And so that is what is Panini. And that's how I think our scriptures say that we can shape our future ahead. And I have seen this every time. If we really dream something, it does happen. Provided then, of course, you act. Just dreaming and not doing anything, no. But if you really deeply desire something, it always happens. I'll give you the example. In 2003, we had a market value of our company was about less than 1,000 crores, maybe 800 or something. I don't remember the real number, exact number. We said that in 2010, we want to reach to 10,000. We weren't very sure how we will get there. But we knew that we will make every effort to get there. And we really drilled it in the minds of our senior people and us that we have to get there and let's look at ways. We didn't know all the ways. The ways actually I've found by experience, they unfold as you go on to the path, new and new ways come. The truth is that in 2010, just for 60% of the business, instead of what we had thought in 2010 we should reach 10 and everybody was doubting it, actually it went to 18. So the fact is that if you really desire something, if you act upon it, it is possible. The road is shown to us. In the Gita, there have been, if you see, or in the Mahabharata, there are so many challenges, but there are as many, these challenges give rise to so many opportunities. And this is the other thing that I have found, that very often we get overwhelmed by all the challenges that we have to face. But can we convert the challenge into an opportunity is what is there for us to think about. I'll give you an example of what we have tried to do. So we had a pharmaceutical plant which was in the heart of South Mumbai, in Tardeo. To run a pharmaceutical plant in Bombay is a challenge on its own, because there is a risk that if ever there is any explosion, and if it's in the midst of a residential complex, then you can imagine the havoc it can cause in terms of safety, in terms of the environment. The costs are extremely high to run it in Mumbai. labor costs, power costs, water costs, whatever it is. Further limited that you cannot expand. So everything is wrong. And we were, because of that, actually suffering losses. So we said, what do we do? I mean, we could have cried. We said, let's find a creative, innovative solution. And then we moved the plant out from Tardeo and then built the first shopping mall in India called Crossroads. And therefore, had we not had this challenge, I don't think we would have entered into this new area. So it was the first shopping complex in the country. It was a huge success at that time. So again, I think that in our lives, we will get challenges. It is how can we convert those into opportunities is what we have to think about. I'm also now going to give you, when you look at challenges, one of the things that you find in the Gita is that the Lord always tells you that you have to not grieve. It is in some ways the most optimistic book that you can read. Do not grieve. You can come, even if you're a fallen down man, like many of us are, come back, and if you come to me, I will get you there. I will protect you. Everywhere there's assurances. And that gives a lot of hope for all of us. One of my favorite shloks in the Gita is in the chapter 9. It's the shlok 22. I don't know the shlok in Sanskrit, so that Swamiji we can ask him in the Q&A. But it really talks about how the Lord says that He will protect us. He will carry our burden. Oh, that is so much of power in it. If you really believe in it, then I believe that there is nothing that can shake us. And the Lord talks about divine qualities in the chapter 16. He talks about fearlessness. I think to me, my fearlessness only comes because I believe that He will protect me and that He will carry my burden. If we all start believing that, then actually there's nothing to worry. And you spoke a little bit about my early days, so I'm going to talk about that only because I think I want to give the example. My father passed away in 1 minute when I was 24. After that, our business, whatever, went through difficulties. We had a strike, the whole industry, textile industry, had a strike. The company went into near bankruptcy. At that time, my elder brother, who was the chairman of our group and who had taken over from my father, also developed cancer at the age of 34 and died, and so on and so forth. A lot of challenges. And so here I was to look after his family of wife and 3 kids. Eldest is 10 years old, youngest is 1 year old, and a business which was in difficulties. And most people thought that this guy is not going to make it anyway. But yet, I think the only reason why we could survive is because of, one, the faith that I had, that somebody, He will protect me and carry my burden. And that's how it happened. So it was so easy. Sometimes I feel that it was pretty easy now if you look back. It's only because of this. So we can keep practicing it. And the Lord says that my devotee will never perish. So if you really believe in that, it makes a big difference. Another learning that I've got, again from the Gita, is in the divine qualities, the Lord talks about you have to be humble, or humility is one of the divine qualities that the Lord talks about, that we should be that. We have, as a group, one of the things that we have grown is because of mergers and acquisitions. We have acquired several new businesses. We have acquired businesses both in India and outside of India. And I think that an example which I give to every time that we acquire a business, whether it's in India or it's actually in the UK or US, and which really strikes a chord, because that's how we believe it, is an example, again, an Indian example, I would say. So when you think about a sangam of two rivers, what happens is that two different rivers come together. And the resultant river is actually a combination of both. It's not only one river, it's not only the Ganga, it's not only the Jamuna, but the new river is neither Ganga nor Jamuna. It's something which takes the best out of both. So that's one way to look at an acquisition. Most of the people in the Western world actually look at an acquisition differently. They look at an acquisition as when a river flows into the ocean. So whether it is the Ganga, whether it's the Nile, whether it's the Amazon, it flows into the ocean. The ocean, nothing happens to it. The ocean doesn't go up by half an inch. The salinity in the ocean is not going to change. It remains the same. The characteristics remain the same. So I believe that the way we acquire or we do is of two rivers coming together. And that's why I would say that in more cases than not, we've been successful in mergers. And the essence of why two rivers come together is humility. Because if you have the humility to understand that somebody else on the other side also brings in good and knows about that subject perhaps more than you, that's where you can succeed. So again, this we have tried in different cultures, and it has always worked. One of the other things that the Gita teaches me is that we have to give back, and that we are mere trustees. It is the Lord who has given us whatever the wealth it has, and if we do not use it for the benefit of all others, then he says you are a thief. I think that is so important. And therefore, if you think of it in another way, we are human beings, and perhaps the most evolved of all the species. We must have had millions of births and rebirths to have come to where it is. And the human life, the human being, is the only one who can discriminate right and wrong, what is good, what is not, and can make a positive difference. Nobody else can. A tiger is not going to make a positive difference to the world around him. I think we as human beings can do it, must do it. And therefore, we in our group have really the purpose of our group. The main purpose, as you call, we talk about how we are going to do well in whatever we do, and we are going to do good. So we can perform all our businesses doing both well and good, and making a positive difference to the world around us. And I found that it is a really powerful purpose which galvanizes people, which makes people feel good. And at the end of the day, you also feel that as a human being, you have done something to deserve your birth as a human being. And I'm going to now just end by quoting the last verse of the Gita, when Sanjay assures you that if you believe that there is a divine Lord, if you have a guru or you have an idol like a divine Krishna, and you be his student or his follower like Arjun, which all can be, then he assures us of victory and success in this world. So that's what I had to share with you. Thank you very much.